Do people have a right to die? That is the question at the heart of a debate which will be very much in the news now. It was just yesterday. The national government of Canada introduced a bill that would make the entire country a so-called right to die nation, a nation in which physician-assisted, pharmacist-assisted, nurse-assisted suicide would, under specific circumstances, be perfectly legal. If the law passes, and it does seem that it is likely to, Canada will join a short list of nations, including Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Germany, and an even shorter list of U.S. states like Vermont and Oregon, in which the right to die will be law. Personally, I find the whole right to die notion genuinely upsetting, and in some ways morally and ethically wrong. A right to die is a very funny thing to talk about if a culture claims to believe in sustaining and supporting life. But that doesn't mean I think all of these laws are inherently wrong. I think we frame the debate incorrectly. It's not about a right to die, and the term death with dignity is frankly offensive. Is it somehow undignified to bear one's pain? Is it less than dignified to decide that one wants to go on suffering for their own reasons? I don't think so, and I think such people deserve great respect, not the charge that there is something less than dignified about that choice. But I also don't think we should have a system in which third parties can dictate to others how much pain they should suffer, how long they should endure what the people making the laws were themselves possibly not. I don't think this is about death with dignity. I don't think this is about the right to die. I think this is about the obligation in any wise, compassionate society to sustain both the quality and the quantity of life, both the duration of our lives and our ability to live with as little pain and suffering as possible. And at the very least, for a measure of humility by lawmakers, not to make rules that condemn others to levels of suffering that the authors of such laws limiting access to all forms of care would take away. I think rather than talking about death with dignity or right to die, or any of the polarizing terms that we cast about, that rather than screaming at people who advocate for those things about their contempt for life and supporting a death culture, which is at least as absurd, we should simply ask a more fundamental question. How can we ease people's suffering as much as possible, as often as possible? And I don't believe this law is right to suggest that even if your death is not imminent, you can make this decision. I don't believe that a so-called right to die should be extended to people who don't have a terminal illness or whose psychological pain could be treated with psychoactive medication as opposed to ending their physical life. But those are all debates to be had after we can come together and agree that each person knows their own pain best, that each heart knows its own suffering best, and that a truly compassionate response to illness is one in which patients are brought together with healthcare providers to decide how to raise their quality of life as much as possible. Not so much as when it's right to end it, but how can you raise the experience of living as much as possible? And if that involves the mitigation of pain at such a level that life ends as a byproduct, far be it from me to look into another person's eyes who is suffering and tell them I should decide when that is for them.